Welcome to Science and Stuff. Woo! I'm not Anna Wanger. I'm not Jenny Wang. I'm not Sam Weiner. I'm Kiki Woodward. Maybe you see me on Today I Learned. I'm taking over Science and Stuff for the next few weeks. So happy to have you here. I'm excited because I get to interview an awesome scientist that was on this past Saturday's episode of Mission Unstoppable. Mission Unstoppable is a TV show, Saturday mornings on CBS, that teaches all about the amazing careers that women can have in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. We had an awesome show this past Saturday, and I have invited on one of the scientists from that show to join us here on Science and Stuff today. We're going to be talking about the different environments and different biomes of the Earth for Earth Day, and the plants and animals and how they live harmoniously within these different environments. Follow us on socials or at CBS Unstoppable across the board. Any social platform, you'll find us at CBS Unstoppable. I guess it's time to get into some newsy news. Shall we?
Science newsy news that rests your friends so you can't stop thinking about it if you wanted to.
Okay. Today's newsy news, it's less of 3 stories, it's more of one story that I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you the story of the carbon cycle. Why? Because it's Earth Day week, and I want to teach you a little bit about the Earth. And this is not going to be boring. This is going to be exciting. All right, carbon cycle. So, why carbon? Carbon's not bad, like we might think it is. We hear carbon all the time these days. Carbon is good. Carbon is found in every living thing on Earth. Your cat, your family, your food, you, me, we're all carbon-based organisms. Carbon's also found in many non-living things like air and rocks. I don't have a rock, but I would show you a rock if I had one. Carbon is essential to our environment and one of the main building blocks of life. It's also a critical part in healthy soil. So most of the carbon here on Earth has been here since the planet was formed, like 4.5 billion years ago or so. And some carbon's still added year by year from meteors. So the reason why we hear so much about carbon these days is because of a higher amount of carbon in the atmosphere in the form of CO2. It's higher now than at any point in history over the past few 100,000 years. So historically, the average atmospheric CO2 was around 250 parts per million. Okay? Just take that number, 250 parts per million. Now, the readings of CO2 in the atmosphere are at around 410 parts per million, and that level climbs 2 to 3 parts per million annually, due mainly to human activity like burning fossil fuels. So we have an excess of CO2 in the atmosphere. Why is that a bad thing? CO2 is a greenhouse gas. A greenhouse gas is something that traps heat in our atmosphere, which warms our planet. So these increase in temperatures end up melting glaciers, polar ice caps, they warm our oceans, they kill off coral reefs, and they cause extreme weather patterns. So this is bad, right? But our Earth is amazing, and it has ways of restoring balance. One way is the ocean. The ocean can actually hold 50 times more carbon than the atmosphere can. Amazing. Another way is plants and trees and algae. So plants can take light energy from the sun, water, and CO2, that bad, nasty stuff, and basically convert that into carbohydrates and oxygen, which you know is photosynthesis. This process uses chemical energy. It breaks the molecules apart and rearranges atoms. So now the plants have taken the sun, water, and CO2, and made carbohydrates and oxygen. The plants eat the carbohydrates, and then they release oxygen back into the atmosphere and send the excess carbohydrates, which includes carbon, down into the soil. Okay, so now we've gotten back to soil, how I spoke about at the very beginning. Okay, so now we have this soil. In our soil, we have billions and billions of microbes in the forms of bacteria and fungi. So, actually so many, in fact, that if you take healthy soil, in 1 teaspoon of healthy soil, there are more microbes than humans on this earth. That is billions of microbes in 1 teaspoon of healthy soil. Yeah, okay. So these microbes, they're feeding off these carbohydrates that the plants have leaked into the ground. And when the bacteria and fungi, when their glorious lives have come to an end, they sadly die. And the carbon that makes up those organisms, because we learned at the beginning that organisms are made up of carbon, they end up being stored in the soil. So we have billions and trillions and like an infinite amount of microbes that are in the soil that when their life cycles end, they pass away, and these little carbon guys are down in the soil. So it's kind of important to leave them undisturbed. Okay, so now that we know like kind of how the carbon cycle works, and this is really exciting because Earth has this natural solution of how to take CO2 out of the atmosphere and kind of just store it in the soil, right? We're close. We're kind of, but we have some work to do as humans, right? So when modern agriculture, we till our soils, we use harmful pesticides, basically we're killing the microbes in the soil and bringing all that stored carbon from below, like the Earth's surface, to above the surface, releasing that carbon of all those dead microbes, RIP, putting it back up into the atmosphere. We've actually lost 133 billion tons of carbon from our soil, which creates an imbalance in CO2 in the atmosphere, and our plants and oceans aren't totally equipped to handle this amount. Scientists at the Nature Conservancy estimated that globally, if we protect our soils, if we do soil conservation and soil building activities, we could actually provide 10% of the carbon reduction needed to our planet. It's amazing, just through soil, just through letting nature do its thing. So how can you help? Well, there's a few ways. First, you can plant your own garden. Make that healthy soil in your backyard. Grow amazing vegetables, fruits that you can eat. How amazing does that sound? Secondly, you can support farms that practice this sustainable, regenerative, organic farming style. You just go to your farmer's market and talk to farmers. I'm sure they would love to talk to you about the science that they put into their farms. You can compost. Composting breaks down organic matter basically into like a living soil, those microbes, which is actually better than your food going in the trash and being sent to a landfill, because then it breaks down and creates methane there, which is a greenhouse gas, which we learned about. It's bad. So I hope this all made sense. I'm not a scientist, but I kind of hope it helped you kickstart your own Earth Day week and motivate you to get out there and take action and be educated on our lovely planet. Oh, all right. Well, that wraps up this week's
Science news that will test your friends so you can't stop thinking about it if you wanted to.
Okay, if you guys haven't heard, it's Earth Day week. Have I mentioned that enough? Well, anyways, it seems fitting to bring on a special guest today from this past Saturday's episode of Mission Unstoppable. She's an ecologist, and she's going to teach us about environments and biomes and animals and plants, and just like keeping with the theme of Earth. And if you thought I had energy, just wait. This woman brings it. She's an educator, ecologist, naturalist, and is here today to answer our questions about the dry, dusty, barren place that is the desert. Or is it? Before we get to her, we're going to play a clip from Dr. Jessie Rack's segment of Mission Unstoppable. Hit it.
I met up with Dr. Rack at the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum to learn more about how plants and animals have adapted to thrive in this arid climate.
This is a kangaroo rat. They use this thing called a microclimate. So you can see this is like his container is a little fake burrow here. Tortoises have a really great adaptation where they actually are able to store a ton of water inside their body. They store up to 40% of their weight in water in their bladder.
It's not just animals who can adapt. Plants do it too. Saguaro cacti are a fundamental part of the ecosystem.
Look at how
It's so big.
it's funny because this is actually kind of a baby because the sun is very harsh out here, and so you don't want it to be exposed too much because you can get really easily sunburned.
Not to sound too obvious, but it sure is hot out here.
Okay, there she is. Please welcome Dr. Jessie Rack.
Oh my gosh,
Hi.
hey Kiki. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I am so happy to be talking to you. I just want to start out by saying how awesome you are. And I've gotten to know you a little bit, but I want all of our viewers to get to know you before we dig into ecology.
Okay.
So, where are you from?
Oh my gosh, that's like a hard question though. Okay, so I'm from all over. I grew up in the East Coast in New York State and West Virginia, and then I kind of moved all over the place, and then I spent the last almost 3 years in Arizona. So,
Okay. So you've lived West Coast or East Coast, Southwest.
yes.
Sounds cool. So
Yeah.
when you were growing up in New York State, what kind of got you interested in STEM?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I was always a total nature nerd, so I just loved like going outside and playing in my backyard, and you know, catching critters and playing outside. And I think where I made the connection that you could play outside for science, that could be your job. It was actually a movie I watched in which there was this like woman scientist who was looking for the cure for cancer in the Amazon rainforest in the plants down there, and she was like doing field work and like zip lining through the trees and you know doing all these like chemical analyses. And so I used to tell people that when I grew up, I wanted to be a biochemist searching for the cure for cancer in the Amazon rainforest. When I was like 8, this was my story. I didn't do that, but like, you know, I came close maybe.
That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
It's not like I want to be an astronaut. It's so
No.
specific. Your parents and teachers must have thought it was like so cute and funny.
Bananas.
But like, okay,
Totally
you're not in
bananas,
the
yeah.
Amazon, but like, you're pretty close to
Totally different biome.
your dream.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. That is so nice of you to say. I sure do think a lot about nature and yeah, all the ways that it works together with us and with itself. So
Yeah. Have you been to the Amazon?
No, I'd love to go. Does anyone want to take me to the Amazon? Call me Discovery Channel. Just kidding, CBS.
Yeah. You can find her at Jessie Rack.
I know. No, but I would totally love to go. I would love to check out, like, one of my dreams is just to kind of see all kinds of different ecosystems on the planet and just, like, see all kinds of different animals and plants and how they're living. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. So you had this dream and you're like, this is what I want to do when I grow up. So where did you decide to go to college and what did you major in?
Okay, so this is also a funny story because I actually went to college first for music. So something I love, I'm kind of like, I think of it as like right brain, left brain even, kind of like they're balanced. So I always loved like reading and writing and like doing music and all these different things. And I also loved science. And I actually went to college for music first and a creative writing minor. And then I graduated and was like, wait, I'm not sure if that's the right thing. And so I ended up going back to school for biology. So I went originally at West Virginia University, and then I went back for biology at Slippery Rock University of Pennsylvania. You've never heard of it. It's okay. And then I went to graduate school, and that's where I kind of discovered that ecology is this kind of science where you can kind of fold together nature and science together, and you can go outside and catch animals and still do all those cool things in nature and learn about it. And that's a type of science. And then I went to graduate school in Connecticut for that. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I think the message that I have here is that, like, you know, school is a door that's always open, and, you know, there's no such thing as getting the wrong answer. You can't do it wrong. You're always learning, you know? So
honestly, stories like yours are so inspiring.
Yeah,
because it's
thanks.
like truly you can just like follow your dream. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. If you find, oh, this thing interests me, like, why not go for it? You did. Look at where you are. You're a doctor. Like, crazy. Oh, I love it.
So, yeah, I just do kind of a series of like trying different things.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, so the message I'm getting here is that Jessie Rack is a queen. Thank you, Lex-Lun.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. But I mean, it's not just me. Like, I think it's just, you got to do the thing that makes you excited to get up in the morning. And that's Slippery Rock University. Heck yeah. Whoever just put that. Slurpy burpee. Yeah, it's true. It's in Pennsylvania. Exactly. But you just got to do the thing that makes you excited.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it hasn't been all like unicorns and rainbows, right?
Oh my gosh, I love unicorns and rainbows though, like sidebar. It has been a lot of that.
Have you have you had challenges along the way that you've had to kind of like overcome?
Oh my gosh, totally. Like, I don't think there's any, it sounds so easy when I'm just telling you the story of like, oh, and then I woke up one day and got a PhD. That's not really how it happens. So, I mean, everybody has their own like struggles to overcome and their own things that they deal with. I think my biggest one that I've dealt with is that I have ADHD. Which I don't know, maybe some of you are on that team with me. Welcome, team members. And I think it's funny because it's a thing that no one really talks about, and it has a big stigma, right? So you hear ADHD, everyone's like, oh, everyone's a little ADHD. Well, that's not true. It's a whole wiring pattern of your brain where, they call it neurodivergent, where like your brain works a little bit differently. Some things are challenging. You struggle with like regulating focus and like starting tasks, but I don't know, but it's been great also because it helps me really like follow my passions and be very excited and be very pumped about everything I talk about. So, but yeah, it's hard sometimes when people don't understand that, but yeah.
Well, you're an inspiration. I feel like, you are just like a great example to not only like your peers, but younger generations that want to achieve something, and you just shouldn't feel maybe like inhibited by anything, right? Like, go for it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Just because your brain's wired differently than other people's brains doesn't mean, that means in fact that maybe you're going to think of something that like a neurotypical person never thought of before, right? It's like magical brain.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now that we have grown to absolutely love you, Shall we get into some science?
Please. I am here for this Earth Week. Also, sidebar, I'm made of carbon.
Oh, me too.
Oh my
gosh. Elena, are you made of carbon?
Oh, what? Maybe she should check on that.
Yeah. She's from outer space. Okay, so you are an ecologist. And you're also a naturalist.
It's true. Right? I use lots of different titles.
Yeah. So can you explain what an ecologist is, like what a naturalist is?
Yeah.
What you do?
Yeah. So an ecologist is the more like professional science term, right? So an ecologist is a scientist who studies plants and animals and the way they interact with each other and with the world around them. So usually an ecologist will kind of specialize on one thing, and then kind of think about how that one thing kind of interacts, or sometimes they would think about themes of things. Versus a naturalist is more of not necessarily a scientist, but it's more of a, I think of it anyway, as more kind of broad. Like, as an ecologist, I specialized on salamanders, of all things, and herpetology, which is amphibians and reptiles. But as a naturalist, I think about plants, I think about mammals, I think about birds, I think about all the different things working together. So they're related, but not necessarily the same. Yeah. Does that help?
Let's talk about how you got into studying salamanders.
Okay, because, yeah.
I mean, maybe just like an underrepresented animal. You don't hear people devoting their like education to a salamander. So let's talk about them. Why are they special?
Also, I have a question. What is my favorite animal? And this is like a very complex question. There are layers to this question. Because basically you have to give me a category because I love animals so much. But I'd say if we're talking specifically about amphibians, it might be a salamander. But if we're talking about, reptiles, it's going to be a horned lizard, who I think we're going to talk about later. I mean, I have many, like if you give me a mammal, I could tell you my favorite mammal. So it's just like usually predators, or as you're saying, Kiki, it's like the weird animals that no one thinks about. Those are my favorite.
Like underdogs. Okay, when I think of salamander, I think of Matilda. I don't remember that movie.
I don't either. I'm sorry. But how did I? Yeah, I know. We should have a viewing party. Okay, how did I get into salamanders? It's more like when I was a kid, I used to catch salamanders all the time. If you grew up in the Northeast, it's totally a thing where you just go out in your backyard and like flip logs and rocks and find salamanders underneath. And so I was kind of into them like in a casual way, and as I went through school, I did some research on fish first. I kind of was guided by the question of, I was really interested in how animals respond to cues from each other. So I was looking at chemical cues, which is like another way to say smells. So how do animals smell each other in an aquatic environment underwater? So I looked at fish first, and then I found a professor at the University of Connecticut who was looking at this in salamanders, and he was wondering how salamander larvae, so like the cute little babies that are kind of like tadpoles but a lot cuter because they have external gills like this. Google it. You should. How they smell predators in the water. So that was the direction I went. Yeah, I just think they're really fun.
Yeah, I used to like catch salamanders when I was a kid too. I feel like that's like a rite of passage of just being a child.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. They're really slow, they're easy to catch. Just like wash your hands first, because also their skin is very permeable. So as long as your hands are clean, you're fine. Just like no sunscreen or stuff, ideally. But
Good tip. Yeah. And wash your hands after, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt. Yeah.
So, okay, favorite ocean animal?
Oh, okay. Okay, but like mammal or like fish, like I still need a category.
Okay.
I know,
fish.
Because I really like, fish. Okay, well, I really like sharks. I'm into predators. Predators are weird animals, but I want like the weirdest shark. Let me say a cookie cutter shark. So like a real weird one. Yeah. Ooh, or a blobfish. That's my second choice.
Blobfish?
Blobfish, yes. It's like a whole mood.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any blobfish scientists out there? I would love to meet you.
That's the mission of science and stuff. I'm going to get a round table together and find a blobfish scientist for you.
That's like 80% of me being a scientist is like making friends with other scientists, doing cool stuff, and then trying to get out in the field with them. Yeah. My favorite bird. Ooh, good question. This has also many layers because I like a lot of birds. I like owls a lot. There's several species I like. There's also a bird called a shrike that I like, which I can talk about in a minute. Maybe it's a desert bird. Not just deserts, but it occurs in the Sonoran Desert. And they're also called the butcher bird because they actually I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with me. Like, I'm also into horror movies and stuff, but so the shrike like kills its prey and like skewers it on like thorns and then comes back for it later. It's like a horror movie. It's so cool.
Did you say this was a desert bird?
Well, it's in the desert. It's not only a desert bird, but it does occur in the Sonoran Desert. Yeah, I've seen one. It was really cool. I freaked out. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, a shoebill stork. Excellent choice. That's a really good choice. Yeah, a lot of charismatic birds out there for sure.
Shoot, birds are also like, I feel maybe underappreciated in the animal world. Birds are so cool. What was that like?
I mean, they're not as cool as amphibians and reptiles, but they're okay. Just kidding. They're the closest thing to dinosaurs we've got, so that's cool.
Birds are? That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love a good bird.
Love a good bird.
Gus's fried chicken does love a good bird. Yeah. Okay. So, we love animals. Animals live all over the world in like different environments. And I think, we're going to be talking about biomes a lot.
Yeah. Many like different words here. Yeah.
So, can you tell us what is a biome?
Yeah.
The definition?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Because I kind of throw that word around a lot. So you can think of a biome as like a habitat type. So, and biomes are defined by the type of plant that's in them. So they're defined by plants. It's just easier that way because the plants don't move around, right? So a type of biome you could think about it also as like a nature zone, if that makes it easier. So like a desert is a type of biome, or a tropical rainforest. And then you can kind of picture in your head what kind of plants would dominate there, right? Like I say desert, you picture cactus. I'm guessing, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I picture tropical rainforest. You're probably picturing giant trees and like vines and jungle stuff, right? Yeah. Exactly. And then there's like grassland. You can probably picture a major plant from that. So that's all a biome is. It's a way to categorize a nature zone.
Okay. So. What about ocean? Is like the ocean a biome also?
Oh yeah, totally. In fact, this is a little out of my. I'm more a terrestrial ecologist, so I think about Earth. So I don't actually know. Like yes, but I'm not sure if there's like sub-biomes within it. I know there's a lot of different ocean habitats. I'm not a marine person. I'm guessing that there are lots of different biomes in the marine zone, and I just don't know what they are to tell you.
Okay.
Anyone in the chat know?
Well, if you could live in any biome, what would you choose? What's your favorite?
I've lived in several. So, I mean, I've lived in the deciduous forest biome. I've spent some time in like the coniferous forest, which is like, pine trees and stuff. And then the desert biome, I really loved the desert biome a lot. It's just so unique. There's nothing else like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with some type of forest biome for myself. Yeah. Which is funny because I live in a desert biome now, right? Like Southern California is primarily desert.
Yeah.
But hey, desert's cool too.
The gut biome. That's the microbiome. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, exactly. So you may have heard scientists talking about the microbiome, and all that is like the microbiology version of a biome. It's a habitat inside of your body where a whole ecosystem of like bacteria and organisms can live in there and help you function. It's very cool. There's like skin microbiome, gut microbiome, all of it. And the micro just means very, very small, right? So very, very small habitat.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, when we spoke to you on Mission Unstoppable, you were in Arizona working in a desert biome. What's so cool about like the desert biome?
Oh my gosh, I could shout about the desert like all day long. So specifically where that was filmed was in Tucson, Arizona, and that's the Sonoran Desert. So there's 4 different deserts in the United States. The Sonoran, I'm going to speak mostly to that one because that's what I'm most familiar with. And Kiki, maybe you know more about the desert where you are. But what's very cool about that, there's tons of, there's so many cool things. The animals and plants, it's a huge amount of biodiversity, which means the number of different kinds of species in the desert. Something I thought was really, really cool, that I don't think I even got a chance to shout about on Mission Unstoppable, was that, so because of the way the weather and the climate works in the desert, these nature zones happen really fast. So in the Sonoran Desert, by some sources, there are 10 biomes altogether on the entire planet. And by some sources, the Sonoran Desert has 8 of them, believe it or not. So the way that works is that for every 1,000 feet in elevation you go up in the desert, it's the biological equivalent of driving like 300 miles north. So there are mountains in Arizona where you drive from like the desert to the top, and by the time you get to the top, you're in like a pine woodland. And so it's as if you drove to Canada. It's totally bonkers. And what's cool about this, these are called sky islands, if you've ever heard this. So it's like an island where every like 1,000 feet, there's like different animals and plants that can live there. And what's cool about it is there are all of these like habitats now, which means that there's so many more plants and animals can live there than could live in just a normal forest on the East Coast. So.
Wow. So even though you can be in like, let's say, like the Phoenix area where there's a bunch of cactuses, and then you like drive up to Flagstaff, where it's snowing, it's all desert. You're saying it's just different, it's like mini biomes within this singular biome. Am I getting that right?
Yep, exactly. So the big desert, like the Sonoran Desert, is the name of that region, and it contains all of these different biomes within it. So all of these different habitats are within it. Yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
Anyway,
okay.
So that's why the Sonoran Desert is one of the most, the highest biodiversity it's one of the highest biodiversity deserts for sure. It's one of the highest biodiversity places in the United States because of this.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
That must have been so cool for you to be working there.
Yeah, I love it.
Slurpy Burpy. I remember you telling me about the Sky Islands. We met Dr. Rack in Utah during a Mission Unstoppable shoot about Dr. Varner's study of the Pika. Oh yeah, I tend to shout about Sky Islands a lot. It's like my favorite thing. When people are like, what do you want to tell me about the desert? I'm like, have you heard the good news about Sky Islands? That's where I go. So so we've learned from you that deserts are not this arid, tumbleweed, baking sun, like lifeless area. There's a ton of life, a ton of biodiversity. It's just not how they're in like the movies.
Yeah, there are many of the words you said. They are hot, they are arid, but they're not lifeless. That's the key.
Yeah. Well, these environments are really harsh. So the animals that live there must have a bunch of, I would say they have to have had adapted to these environments to be able to survive.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like you're an expert on this.
Maybe, yeah. But I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk
I
about
think
some
a lot
weird
about
animals.
Let's talk about weird animals. Let me first time out and define adaptation too, because I think that's really important to understand. Yeah. Right. So we throw that word around a lot. We're like, oh, it's like we adapted to this. What it means in biology is it's like the process of change that an animal or plant gets better and better at living where it is. So spines on a cactus are protecting it from predators, or just defensive chemicals inside of a plant, or you can think of all these different things, just reasons that have traits that the animal or plant has to make it live better where it is. So it's not the same thing as being evolved, although it could eventually be an evolved trait. So
so could you have the same animal that lives in one biome, that lives in two different biomes that have two different adaptations to those biomes?
The same animal that lives in two biomes that has,
let's say you have a pigeon.
Sure.
And you have a pigeon that lives in a forest and a pigeon that lives in the desert. Could that pigeon have two different Like
Yeah.
the desert pigeon has adapted to one thing and the forest pigeon has adapted to another thing.
Oh, totally. So and so it can happen kind of on that small level, or it could even be the same animal can have like different adaptations for different environments, and it can move between them. Because we know animals migrate over huge different, like some animals migrate over huge distances, and so sometimes they'll be able to survive because of one thing in one place, but because of another thing in another place. Yeah, but also if the same species, just like different populations live in two places and have different adaptations, and maybe after a while they only breed with other populations that have that same trait, and then eventually after like years and years and years they can't have babies together anymore, that's when they've evolved those different traits. And then we might start considering if they're even different species at that point. So
Sure.
that's like a very quick and dirty version of
Yeah.
like geographic speciation. But yes, yeah, the answer is yes. Plants often have it harder because, as we know, they're usually stuck in one place, right? So they have to do stuff. They kind of have to deal with what they have.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some fun, cool, crazy animals. And I think we have
Let's talk
some
about
photos.
some weird ones.
So we can pull up the first one. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We have a coyote here.
We do.
Cool. Well, so what's cool about the coyote is they don't just live in the desert. If you live anywhere in the United States, you probably have a coyote near you. That's something I like about them. So this is a great example of what you just mentioned, Kiki, which is like, you know, this animal has adaptations to all kinds of different environments, right? Okay, so can anyone like in the audience, can you think of one, Kiki, or can anyone think of like, what's something that would help the coyote survive? Let's talk about the desert, because that's what I think the most about. What helps the coyote survive in a desert?
Right.
What? Look
Well,
at that
let's
furry
see.
animal. Yeah.
That's where my head was going. I'm thinking, okay, a coyote can live in Washington State, but it can also live in Arizona. I'm sure
Totally.
it has something to do with its hair.
Painting a wall to escape a roadrunner, that might be an adaptation. That's a behavioral adaptation. That's what we would deem that. Yeah. Well, I think in order to answer this question, oh yeah, no, that's a great one. And so the way I think of this is like in the condition, like what's the thing that it finds challenging in that environment? And then think about what it can do to deal with that. So in the desert, I think about it being hot and being dry, right? So think about your pet dog on a hot day. What does it do when it's outside?
It's panting.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
So it pants, sometimes it sheds. If you're like, you know, when your dog starts shedding as it gets towards summer, same thing. Coyotes do this. So they shed their coat, so they actually lose some fur to deal with the heat a little better, and they pant. And so panting is the same kind of, lays under a bush. Oh, that's a great one too. Thank you, Gus's Fried Chicken. So that's another behavioral adaptation. So that's great. They can move where they are. Plants can't do this, but animals can. It's too hot where you are. Let's go lay under a bush. Exactly. Coyotes do this. The panting's cool because it uses this thing called evaporative cooling, which is the same deal as like when we sweat. Like, you know, you get water and sweat on your skin, and then the breeze blows past it and evaporates it, and you feel cooler. That's what panting does, because coyotes and dogs and cats can't sweat. So it's cool, right?
So cool.
He's looking like straight to camera too. I really like this picture.
Yeah. He was hired for this. Specifically for that look.
Very, very handsome.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the next one.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Oh
my gosh.
my God.
Look at this cute, adorable little mouse. Has anyone ever heard of a grasshopper mouse? Have you heard of this, Kiki? How does this picture make you feel? Isn't it adorable?
But how have I? Oh my gosh! It looks like a cartoon character. What is it doing?
Okay, let me tell you. So grasshopper mouse is fantastic. So this is a desert species. Again, these guys are bananas. They have a bunch of cool adaptations. So primarily in the Mission Unstoppable clip, in the segment, what I talked about was adaptations to heat, right? And to dealing with desert heat and aridity. There are also adaptations to things like predators, adaptations to find in food, to adaptations to find in water, like all kinds of, you name an environmental stress, there's an adaptation to it probably somewhere. So the grasshopper mouse has a very cool adaptation to finding food. And so this mouse is actually a predator. So here's what's cool about it. Think about your average mouse, your mouse that you have at home, or like your mouse that I don't know why you would have, maybe you have a pet mouse, I don't know, or like a deer mouse. Like, what do they eat usually? Well, if you were a mouse, what would you eat?
Little tiny wedges of cheese.
I'm
kidding, but
maybe like not in nature, right? Like I don't know a mouse that's like fully mastered fermentation, but like maybe, but like if you give it to them. But generally mice, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, actually, this is such an interesting question because I do not know what mice eat.
Oh, okay. Seeds, like things like seeds and grasses and maybe insects, right? So this mouse, the grasshopper mouse, is a full carnivore, like full on. So first of all, and it's like a crazy predator. So it eats like, it'll eat insects, it'll eat other mice. It'll turn cannibalistic if there's not enough food around and eat other ones of it. It'll like eat its mate. It'll like eat, but here's the really cool part. They eat scorpions. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Wait, this cute itty bitty tiny little
thing. Look at this thing.
Are they carnivores?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. They're such good carnivores. And my favorite thing they do, which you should actually Google this, there's a really great video of them like fighting and like dominating a scorpion. Because you can imagine, like, if a scorpion stings something with that small of a body size, it's fatal, right? So a scorpion stings a teeny baby mouse, it's dead, except if it's a grasshopper mouse. Because not only do these guys eat scorpions, they're actually impervious to scorpion venom. But it's like even cooler than that, because I love this story, because a scorpion will sting it. Like they do get stung in the course of like catching a scorpion, but not only does the venom not kill it, chemicals inside of its body change the venom into an analgesic. That means they make it into a painkiller. So it gets stung by a scorpion. Not only does it not die, but it feels no pain.
This sounds like a Marvel superhero. Like, this is real? I don't believe
it gets better. So in the picture, you can see this mouse doing a behavior. So not only are they carnivores who are impervious to scorpion venom and get stung and it makes them feel no pain, but they also howl at the moon. So this is... They have a nickname of the werewolf mouse because they're like running around the desert at night, like hunting scorpions and centipedes and howling at the moon.
Stop. Okay, we have a video.
Ah!
Please hold. Okay.
I'm not playing the sound so we don't get a strike.
Okay. Is my mic on?
Yeah.
What's up? Okay, so it's
oh my gosh, we could narrate it.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
yeah,
first
so
of all, the
check this
scorpion's
out.
Glowing in the dark.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that in a minute. So here it is trying to disable the scorpion stinger. So there's the barb. Oh, a scorpion eating specialist. We should do it in a David Attenborough voice. So first of all, the scorpion glows in the dark, but there, it gets stung. But the toxins do nothing except make it feel no pain. So it's getting stung multiple times.
So that
mouse would, and now it just drags it away and eats it.
It wants to get stung.
Yeah, it's like
Oh my gosh.
I think that would be my superhero power if I had one.
This.
There you go.
Oh, there's it.
I wish you could hear it. You'll have to Google this, you guys. His cry carries over 100 meters. I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. Well, my squeal just then was probably the same octave as.
I know. I've never seen one in the wild, no. Because they're very small and they're out at night. And so you'd have to be like, I've been out at night in the desert a good bit, but you have to, not enough that the animals come back out, because you're a loud human kind of tromping around. But yeah, so that's a real fun predator.
I know. Love that. Okay. Can we talk about the scorpions? Because
Oh my
that just
gosh,
came
yeah.
up. I think we
Did
have
I
a
already
photo of
clarify
scorpion
that like
also.
I mostly love like weird, like creepy animals? Because I hope, I hope I've made that clear. Because this is all my favorite stuff to talk about. I'm like, let's talk about oh my gosh, it's my
Oh,
favorite
wait.
reptile on the entire planet. Should we still talk about scorpions, or should we like take a little sidebar?
Let's. Oh, I was going out of order then.
That's
But you know
okay,
what?
because look what we
Let's
have
talk about
here.
this because what
Oh my
is
gosh.
going on
Okay.
in this picture?
First of all, well, that's a horned lizard. You may have heard it called a horny toad, which is actually inaccurate. They're not toads at all. Toads are an amphibian, lizards, and they're a reptile. They're my favorite reptile of all time. Probably up there with my top like 5 favorite animals. They might even be in my top 3. They're great. So what they are is they're this cute little reptile. A lot of reptiles, maybe you've seen lizards, are really fast usually, and they kind of skitter away from predators. Not so these guys. They're kind of like chunky and slow, and they're not really good at escaping things. So what this adaptation is that's shown in the picture is an anti-predator adaptation. So, okay, which is all to say, it's squirting blood out of its eyeball at a predator. I know, it's so
Oh
cool,
gosh,
right?
I'm like touching my eye because I'm feeling.
I know, it's so, I know, you're like, your face is like doing a different thing because I'm like, I know, it's amazing. I wish I could do that too. So what's cool about this is they have kind of predator-specific adaptations. Oh, great question. What does the blood do? I'll get to that in a second. They have predator-specific adaptations. So if it's like a snake, they're kind of like flat and spiky, and they just kind of inflate their body, and the snake can't swallow them. Squirting blood out of your eyeball is real good for a coyote or a dog-shaped thing. So one of those things goes to bite them. What happens is they have like special, it's called an ocular sinus. So sinus is just a fancy science word for like a cavity, like an open space inside of you. So like, our sinuses are up here. They're just like open spaces that sometimes give you headaches. They have an ocular sinus, which means they have like a space around their eyeball. And they have muscles that control the veins that go into their eyes. So if they're starting to be threatened, they'll squeeze down on those veins and prevent the blood from going back to their heart. So you can see on that one's eyeball, see how it's so like swollen and big? It's so cool. So it swells up a lot when it sees a predator. Do you like how I'm trying to do it with my own eyeball?
Yeah.
And then what happens is that if the predator comes in, it squeezes those muscles again, and poof, the blood shoots directly into its mouth if they're lucky. So they can shoot it up to 4 feet. And to answer that question of what the blood does, it's very distasteful to coyotes. So it tastes really bitter and gross. And so if it gets it in its mouth, it's like, and runs away and doesn't try to eat one again. Another question, does that mean if they do it for too long, they can die because blood isn't going to its heart? No, they won't die from this. I'm sorry if I explained that poorly. The blood, because veins take your blood away from your heart, right? And arteries bring it back. Is that right? No, the other one. Arteries take it away, veins take it back. And so what happens is they just let that blood fill their little eye sinus, the cavity there, and then they shut it down. So they fill it up and that's it. The blood's still going back to their heart from other places. They're just think of like filling a water balloon and then kind of like, so it gets real big and bulbous like that thing's eye, and then just like clamping it off. So it's like locked and loaded in this big like water balloon full of blood. That's their eye. Okay, you with me? And then
I'm with you.
And then they have a big inflated water balloon full of blood that is their eyeball. And if the predator keeps coming, they just squeeze it a little bit more, and that like water balloon just like ruptures. It's not actually their eyeball itself. It's the tissue right next to their eye that's actually like rupturing and letting that blood out. And they can do it a few times in succession.
Oh my God.
I know, and it
Does this
tastes
hurt
really
them
bad
in
to the
any
coyotes.
ways? Do you know?
No, I don't think so. There's no sign that it does. And because they can do it a few times in a row, and they're just like, and then after, I think it takes them a little time to kind of like reload after that. But by that point, if their aim was good and they got it in the animal's mouth, hopefully it's like run away being like, oh gosh, gross, blood.
Have
So,
you seen
that's a great
this
story.
happen in real life?
No, although I have caught many horned lizards because I love them so much. And I always like, like hold them and like kiss them and like pet them and like and I even have tried being like see what would happen. To like see if I could like I wouldn't ever really eat them, but like just to see if I could trigger this, defense. But they're so good at identifying predators. Like you have to be shaped like a coyote or like a dog for them to do this thing.
Okay.
So for me, they just hold still and they're like, nope, don't notice me. I'm a rock. Don't notice me. Yeah, I've never eaten a horned lizard. I wouldn't. I love them.
You know what it looks like to me?
Oh, look, that's my
And there's
hand.
no picture of it. Oh my gosh. It
That's my
kind
hand.
of looks like a bearded dragon.
Oh, except
Like
way
those-
cuter, right?
Totally. Yeah. But like
They have
just
so
like
much personality.
the same like spiked like crown,
Yeah.
which is just like a common
So-
household pet.
So this species too is actually called a regal horned lizard because it has that like special crown. There's several species of different ones, but the ones I kind of found the most often are called the regal horned lizard. So, but I think they all species can do the blood squirting thing. So amaze your friends, disgust your enemies.
I'm with you. Like I actually do love lizards a lot.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Thank you.
I grew up with a bearded dragon as a pet.
Oh.
And like the two of us would go
You're like,
out
I
in the
was
backyard
raised
and,
by
like, sun
bearded
ourselves
dragons.
together. We
Oh,
would literally like, not that I tan, but like we would like go tanning together, and it would just sit
so
next to
cute.
me on its own little washcloth blanket. It's really cute.
lizards love it.
Yeah,
great.
this picture is like bringing me back. It's giving me a little.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Lizards love sunning themselves because it helps increase their body temperature, and then all of their like their metabolism, their food digestion all works better, and they can move faster. So,
Yeah.
oh, jackrabbit. Look at that adorable rabbit. Okay, pop quiz. What makes this rabbit? Why does it look different than other rabbits? What's weird about it? Can you tell?
All right. Let's see. People in the chat. Let's put in
People
your
in the chat.
answers.
Why does this rabbit look different than just like your bunny rabbit that you see in your neighborhood or like, that you keep as a pet? What's the
right.
big difference?
Aten, Commander Root, feet. Wow.
Feet.
Cool.
That's a good one.
Professor Prof Melko. Hey, what's up? Tech Setters is here. Oh my gosh. Hi, good to see you. And you guys have ideas of why this rabbit looks different? Gus's Fried Chicken says straight. Oh, its front legs are straight. Oh,
So it is standing really
they
straight.
are ridiculously straight.
It's just posing. They do have really long legs, so they're really good at like hopping and like jumping long distances.
Yeah.
Let me clarify a little bit. So let me say like why. So this is a desert adapted animal. What do you think makes it really? Oh, I see an answer. Giant ears. Did anyone else notice that it has giant, enormous ears? Yeah.
Good job,
Very nice job,
Slurpee.
Slurpee. So what's cool about having giant ears, if you live in the desert, is you can even see in this picture, look at all those like the capillaries and like blood vessels in there. You see how it's like glowing through them. So this is an adaptation to dump heat. And so what happens is they run blood like up through their ears, and all those blood vessels are letting the blood get really close to the surface of the skin, and then the heat can kind of like get dumped off that way. So they have giant ears in order to release heat to the environment so their body can stay cooler. I know,
Wow.
it's not gross, but it is useful.
Huh. And can they hear better with these ears, or is it mostly just for heat distribution?
I don't know. I would guess so. Like based on my like rudimentary understanding of like biomechanics and physics, it seems like they might, but I don't know.
Yeah.
My guess would be yes, but I'm not an expert on that.
Well, I know like cats can like rotate their ears like back and forth of like where they
Yeah.
want to hear. So if you
Well,
have
think
those,
about it. Like,
giant cones, seems like
well, even
Get
Kiki, do
pretty
this real quick. Like, do this thing with your own ears, right? Pull them forward and cup your hands around it, and then see, and then turn your head. I bet you can hear more that way, right? I mean, if your headphones weren't in.
Right. Yeah. I'm playing
So
along.
like by the same, yeah.
yeah.
But like the bigger your ears are, the better they are at catching sounds that are all around you. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one.
Oh my gosh. What is that? Is that a spade-foot toad? It looks like it's like a little.
Looks like a rock.
It does look
That
like a little
doesn't
rock.
look like an animal, really.
I know. Do you want to hear what's gross about this? It's real gross.
Yeah.
It's not like blood squirting out of your eyeball gross, but it's like mucus gross. Are you ready for it? Okay, great. So a spadefoot toad, this is like a western spadefoot toad, is a species that lives in the Sonoran Desert. So, okay, Kiki, amphibians. What's important about amphibian skin that's different than like reptiles? Anyone can answer this. Like, if you're an amphibian, your skin's a certain way. Why?
Well, I'm going to say it's like slimy. It's wet.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Am I
slimy
on the
and
right
wet.
track?
You're totally right. You're 100%
Okay.
right. It's slimy and wet, but like it has to stay that way because they do a bunch of like gas exchange through their actual skin. So they can breathe through their skin a little bit. And so they have to stay wet. And if they dry out, it's really bad for them, for amphibians. And so the only ones, so toads are often the exception. Maybe you've seen them have that kind of like, they're like a little bit harder of a skin so they can prevent from drying out. So spadefoot toads are funny. So one thing that they do is to avoid that extreme heat and dryness in the desert. Dryness is just aridity. They do this thing where we call it estivating. So it's like hibernating when it's hot. So they just like kind of go dormant underground for a little while. And so that's cool. That's all normal. That's not that gross, right? But in order to keep their skin from drying out until it rains again, they do this thing where they actually so they kind of like secrete this mucus all over their body while shedding layers of their skin. And then they kind of like form this cocoon out of shed layers of their skin and mucus. So you could think about it as like, if you were to take a nap in a sleeping bag made of your own snot and like shed skin cells, it's like that.
Right.
Yeah. So they just like hang out. So they hang out in this gross mucus and skin sleeping bag until the first rains wake them from their slumber, at which point they climb up to the surface, like dig their way out of their weird skin sac cocoon. And guess what they do then? Because nothing is ever wasted in nature. Can you guess?
They eat it.
They 100% eat it.
Ew.
And then they head off to the river or whatever to like go meet their mate and make babies.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So that one's actually in its little cocoon right there. So it's a little sleeping bag made of snot.
Oh, okay. That doesn't
so
look as
if it
gross as
were
I
a
was
wig-
imagining it to be.
Oh, yeah. But they look really cute in real life. Like once they're awake and, have eaten that skin sac.
Yeah. I think we might have a picture of the toad not in its skin sac. I think.
That'd be cool. Oh, look at that baby.
Oh my gosh. Look at me. My heart just melted.
Oh my gosh, I am bringing you over to the herpetologist side after all. Look at all these like ugly cute animals. That's kind of my thing, right? Like, look at that thing. It's so weird.
Buggy eyes. Oh,
So one more fun adaptation that I can see in this picture. You see how big its pupils are? They're giant and dark. Can you guess what that's for? What would that be an adaptation to?
To be nocturnal?
Yeah, totally. So if you see an animal with big giant eyes or eyes with big giant pupils, it's a pretty good guess that that animal is active mostly at night.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you're on the adaptation
I'm in.
train.
Yeah.
Ugly cute. Oh my gosh, yes.
Jojo potato.
Uh,
Oh, all right. I think we have a couple more.
Okay, in the meantime, hey, chat, what's your favorite ugly cute animal? I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
What's
I have
yours,
mine.
Kiki? Okay, what is it?
My favorite thing that I've spent like hours obsessing over is oh my gosh, baby like rays. Like like stingrays.
The ones that look like raviolis.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Like little haunted raviolis.
Yes. It blew my mind when I saw them. They
I know
look like
exactly
little
what you mean.
aliens. Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah, they're really weird.
Yeah. I mean,
Good one.
what's yours?
I mean, I have so many. But also, like, I don't think I see cute the same way as other people do, because I'm like, oh my god, this spade-foot toad. Oh my gosh, there it is! There's your haunted ravioli!
Are you kidding me? What is it?
Why is it?
Oh gosh.
You're right, that doesn't look like a real thing. Okay, some things that come to mind. Ooh, axolotl! Oh my gosh, you think that's ugly? No, I'm just kidding. I think that's my problem, is like I don't understand what ugly means to other people. Like, I love axolotls. I think they're like legitimately adorable. But I can see your point. They have those cool external gills that are so fluffy. I like those guys a lot too. I also think of like, I'm just like running my mind through planet Earth in my head. So I'm also thinking of like what's the Amazon river dolphin? The one that's just like all kind of lumpy and weird and pink looking. That's a weird one. Horned lizards, like I think those guys are adorable. Yeah. There's a lot of good ones.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look up river dolphin because I don't think I know that.
Yeah. I just had to look it up on. I saw it on Planet Earth.
I'm actually just Googling it for myself right now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're weird.
And then blobfish, which I mentioned before, of course, is like so weird.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wait, at some point, Elena has to pull up a picture of a river dolphin because they're so bizarre looking.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and you know what? There's room for like every animal, because I bet it looks that way, like potentially for like a reason, right? Like, there's a reason it looks maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I am
It's super weird. Oh, the
freaking out.
Aye. That's another really ugly animal. I mean, I'm sorry to like the Aye. I'm sure it's like cute though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This looks like, world's ugliest dog. Where it's like still really cute, but also like some like, hairless, like
Oh, I
weird
know.
patches, big butt guys.
Oh, see, like who
axolotl.
Oh my gosh. Like who could look at that? That thing's like legitimately cute though, right?
That like it doesn't make sense
No?
that that's a real animal.
It's so perfect. But so what's cool about axolotls is they're a species of salamander, Embisto mexicanum. So what's cool about them is so this is kind of what all salamander larvae look like, essentially, like not with the developed limbs. But so salamander babies are aquatic, like tadpoles sort of. They kind of look like this. And so what's cool about axolotls is they're what we call neotenic, which just means that they look like the baby form all the way into adulthood. So they can breathe and stuff, but they have the baby form.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they're like permanent puppies.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, like there's some I don't know the total science behind this, but the way that like the reason dogs are so that pet dogs, domesticated dogs act like puppies and act kind of dumb and like not like wolves is because humans have domesticated them and bred them to stay at like a puppy brain, right? So you have to look into this if you're interested. There's like a whole line of study on this. Oh my god. There's the majestic Amazon River dolphin, everyone.
She's a beaut.
Oh my god. I love it. Oh, they're so beautiful. Yeah, it's just like animals are just so cool. There's so many different forms. Endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have evolved. I just quoted Darwin. You're welcome. Yeah.
This like my face hurts
You're welcome.
from smiling so much. Oh my gosh. Like,
So
I
does
just
that
know.
dolphins. Look at it. Look at their little face. They're just smiling away. Yeah.
Jojo Potatoes looks like me when I'm sunburned.
Oh.
Me too.
Oh. Oh, look at that joyful dolphin. I love it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It looks like
I love
it looks very happy.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Oh,
right,
scorpions.
back to the
Yay.
desert.
Okay, hey. Here we are. Oh yeah, scorpions. I was talking about how they glow in the dark. Yeah? Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we saw it glow in the dark in that video. And here's the really, really cool about that thing about that. Literally no one knows why they do that. So if you're watching this and you like are interested in science or like want to be a scientist, hey, there's a question we don't know yet. There's tons of them, but there's one that I know of. Nobody knows why they glow in the dark. We just know they do. We know how. We know what chemicals they use, and they've done a bunch of studies, so they have some ideas of why they don't glow in the dark. Like, they've tried things. They're like, is it because of this? And then they're like, nah, it's because of that. So literally no one knows why they glow in the dark, but they just do. So if you live in the desert, you can take a black light out and start flipping rocks at night, and they glow green, and it's really cool. But there is something we know is a bioluminescence. It's actually, it's close. It's not exactly bioluminescence. It's, I hope I don't get this wrong. What's the other one? So it's actually a chemical reaction. So there's like a different name for it. There's bioluminescence and help me. I don't know. I'll have to think about it for a second. Google it. There's another word for it, and I'm not thinking of it right now. Like bioluminescence is like it gives off light.
Is it chemiluminescence?
That might be it. It's like a different word, and it's slightly different. But I'm not remembering the like exact terminology, and I'm sorry for that. Okay. But it's actually like what's happening is like a chemical reaction inside of it that's making it glow. And so something we do know about scorpions, so they have several different pairs of eyes. So they have eyes like up front, right? They also have medial eyes. So they have eyes like along their side. And so something that scientists, So along the side of that scorpion, it has like little eye spots. So something scientists do know is those eyes are mostly used for like just light detecting. They're not like used to see stuff like we see them. I think a couple in front might be, but the ones on the side are just for light detection. And they're so sensitive that scientists think that they use their light sensing eyes to navigate using the light of the stars and the moon. Oh, thank you. Yes, look at this. Glow in the dark organisms. That's cool. I think this is like, it might be a little bit different with scorpion glow, but that's generally the way it happens because there's a different mechanism. Hold on. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Scorpions glow in the dark. And now I'm like, by fluorescence. So they actually fluoresce, which is a little bit different than bioluminescence. So, and you can look more into that with like fluorescence. Yeah, they fluoresce under ultraviolet light. So you have to actually shine light on them to make them glow. That's the difference, I think. It's like a whole category. But yeah, their light sensing eyes are so sensitive that they can navigate using the stars, which is like completely bananas. So if you pick up a scorpion for some reason, thank you. Yeah. Biofluorescence. That's exactly it. So that's the difference that I couldn't remember. So biofluorescence means they absorb light and re-emit it. And bioluminescence means they make it themselves. So I misspoke earlier. Proteins built in their skin that absorb energy from sunlight, or in this case, they absorb energy from UV light, and then re-emit it as a green glow. Great. Thank you for fact checking me. I appreciate that. Amazing. So that's a scorpion.
So as if scorpions couldn't have gotten like any creepier or weirder. It's like, boom, they also have eyes up and down their body.
They have eyes all over their body.
And they're like
wouldn't it be cool?
Old-timey sailors. You know?
Wouldn't it be cool if you could like use their venom and turn it into a painkiller though, like the Grasshopper Mouse? Because that's what I wish for, is my superpower.
True.
I'm just saying. And the tarantula. I love tarantulas. I took this photo too. She's an Arizona blonde tarantula is her species. So we're like sisters, kind of. Yes. So tarantulas are cool. They have venom, but it won't kill you. In fact, like that's kind of a myth. People always say that it will, but I looked it up and there's actually never been any record of tarantula venom killing anyone ever. However, like there is a chance if you got bitten by one that I guess you could always have an allergic reaction, right? As you could with anything. But it's not the venom that's their good adaptation. So their adaptation is to predator defense, and it's those hairs all over their body. So if you have a pet tarantula, maybe you can handle it, right? And you like let it walk over you and it doesn't really bother you. But I'm going to recommend that you never put your pet tarantula in your mouth or a wild tarantula either, just any tarantula. Because
Why?
all those little, well, for lots of reasons, but here's one. So, just like as a baseline rule, try not to put any animal, like live outdoor wild animals in your mouth. But here's one reason for the tarantula specifically. Thank you, Gus's Fried Chicken. One reason is because of those hairs. They're called urticating hairs, and the tarantula can actually release the hairs into something that's trying to eat it. And they're particularly nasty in mucous membranes, meaning your mouth or your nose or your eyes, because they kind of like worm their way in, and they're super irritating. So if some kind of animal tried to eat this tarantula, it would just like get all these painful, irritating hairs all over it, and it would not make that mistake again. Probably. Maybe.
Yeah, certainly not.
Don't eat them.
When you see tarantulas that are like in movies or whatnot, and they're like crawling on people's faces, are those trained tarantulas, or is that just like crossing our fingers? Nothing's gonna happen.
No. I generally first of all, I don't know if you could actually train a tarantula. Like maybe you can. Has anyone ever trained a tarantula? I'm really curious. No, tarantulas are really docile. They're generally, you can just like let them walk all over you. I mean, if you wanted to let them walk all over your face, I guess like that's something that you can choose to do. But it's like the aggression of like, if you're trying to like pick it up with your mouth or trying to like bite it, that might trigger
threatened.
it. Yeah.
Sure.
And maybe like pet tarantulas are more kind of used to being around people and being handled, and that might be a different thing than like this wild tarantula that I found in the desert. I don't know if I didn't pick her up at all. She's also a female because of her size and coloration, but didn't pick her up, didn't eat her. So
yeah. Good, you took your own advice there.
Yeah, I generally do.
CBS Unstoppable just put something in how scientists taught a spider to jump onto man. So they are trainable.
Tarantulas? Oh, fantastic.
I guess so. I don't know what kind of spider.
I want to see more about, jumping spiders, man. I don't know. It's amazing. Like, I want to know more about like spiders' brains. Oh yeah. Any aspiring spider scientists out there? I'd love to know these questions. So if you want to like go do your PhD on training spiders, on like anything like this, like how do spiders' brains like teach them, like what can they remember, how do they learn? I'm down for learning all of that. So
okay, so we need scientists to study scorpions, why they glow in the dark. We need them to study
spiders, blobfish, spiders, tarantulas. How they learn. Tarantulas, any spider.
Right, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. Come get back to us if you decide. Oh, we have a video. Okay.
What? Holy cow! That is so cool. University of Manchester, a Regal jumping spider. What?
Wow.
Wow, that's so cool. It has been trained to jump different distances and heights. Great. I want some spider psychologists out there. I want someone to learn about spider cognition for me. It's Kim, the spider. Oh, Kim.
That's funny.
Wow, look at Kim. A gentle tool to repeatedly bring her from one platform to the other.
Wow.
Wow. I want a sound effect on that though.
Oh, that was lovely. What a way to wrap up our conversation
Oh my gosh.
on crazy cool animal adaptations.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I need a moment just to like settle down because I have so much energy and my face hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was really fun to talk about that stuff. This is like what I like to think about during Earth Week and every week.
I love it. So you aren't in Arizona anymore. You're now you're like
I'm in Maine.
back home. You're in Maine.
Sort of. Yeah, I just moved to Maine like 2 months ago. I already miss the desert so much. So, yeah.
So are you doing something similar in Maine?
Totally. So yeah, I'm the director of education now at a Maine Tree Foundation. So I train teachers to use the outdoors to teach students. So to use forests now. I think my whole thing is just like I like moving from biome to biome and like learning about it and like immersing myself in it and then like going and thinking about another one for a while. So
yeah. Well, best of luck to you. I mean, you're amazing. I am so happy that you were able to join us and you're happy that you were on Mission Unstoppable. If you didn't catch Jessie's segment, I think, is it on YouTube? Mm-hmm. It's on YouTube. So you can go watch it there.
I think.
Awesome.
It will be up this week.
Where can we follow you on social media?
So I am on, there I am. Ta-da! I'm mostly on Instagram, but I'm on the other ones a little bit. Oh my gosh, you can totally be me. Yes. But even better, you can be yourself and just like do cool stuff. But thank you, that's very flattering. Yeah, come follow me.
Okay. Follow Jessie. Watch her on Mission Unstoppable. That's it. That's it for today.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Bye, Jessie.
Wait, you don't follow CBS Unstoppable on YouTube? How will you know when new videos drop? You better go subscribe before you miss a crazy STEM moment, like me walking a shark or making a black hole in my backyard.